What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Birds Deep. I am here, the NFL genius, Gene Wolzak, and to my right, I got Cool McCain, Eagles Elite, Play Callers Podcast. My guys all over the place, dropping the Eagles hat. Look at the background. The background is smooth. We're finally coming to you, bringing to you a win. My man, The Godfrey, will be joining us shortly. However, Cool, did it feel like a win? Do you feel like
no? I do not feel like I
joining
won. I feel like I lost in everything but the score.
Okay. I have a different perspective. I feel like they're still playing sloppy, but they clearly outplayed the Giants. So, like, for instance, if you take the two and one bad news Bears turnover, like their special teams has been incredible all year. It's been probably the highlight of our team. We have a bad news Bears play on the special teams. And then the pick six, Goddard slipped. I mean, it stinks. I don't like where the throw was going. It probably wouldn't have gained much, but it wouldn't have been a pick six if the tight end didn't slip. You take those 14 points off the board, it's 33-11. And I'm not saying that actually 15 points off the board. It's 33-11. And I'm not saying that I'm happy beating the Giants 33-25. What I am saying is I did see improvements on the offensive side of the ball. The defense looked good for the most part, and except that bomb touchdown they allowed to Darius Slayton. But I felt like the Eagles didn't look terrible. Now, maybe it was because it was the Giants. And maybe D. Godfrey will have a different opinion as we welcome him to the show. THEEGODFREY. How you feeling?
What's up? Grinding at the end of the month, you know how you have to do.
Oh, I do. I was asking Cool. I said, does it feel like a win? Did it feel like a win to you? You were at the game, right?
Yep.
Did it feel like a win, or did it feel like we're still really struggling? Cool said it didn't. He said the only thing that felt like a win was the score. I said I felt like outside of a bad news Bears special teams play and a slip, it was a blowout.
I agree with Gene. I think, Cool isn't one of these people, but I think there's been a lot of overreaction to people who actually didn't watch the game. For example, my cousin was saying, oh, Jalen Hurts stinks. I'm like, well, Dallas Goedert fell on that pick six, right? But I felt like it was an improvement overall. It wasn't their best game, but it was better than they've been doing before. They broke the losing streak of 3 games. So that's a positive. I felt an overall improvement. There's some things that I could take away from there that I would like to see done better. But, there was the sentiment from the crowd was interesting there. There was I don't know if you guys heard it on TV or not, but there was a run the ball chant that broke out at least 3 times. And the run the ball chant was appropriate. Certain times it wasn't. I was like, they're not going to run the ball on first for 2 and 20. It's just funny hearing people do that. But, because when you're sitting in the stand, sometimes you can't see the detail like you see on TV. There was a little slip up. I don't like seeing the errant big plays at the end of the game. That's twice in a row. If it happens again, that's a pattern, right? Slayton and Jigba, that's something they got to get under control. I also see cornerbacks not coming out of their break soon enough, but that, we'll get into that in the defensive ratings. I felt like overall I'm with Eugene along the same line of thinking.
Cool. What led you to believe that you don't feel like it was a win? You feel like the sloppiness? How did you feel like Jalen looked? I mean, obviously we'll get into the grades.
So for the most part, I was actually okay with Jalen. I did hear that he had some input into the play calling, which makes sense why we actually ran the freaking ball over 30 times. Now, granted, 8 of them were him, but even without him, we had 27 other carries. I don't like some of the situations where we ran the ball and we got good gains, but I felt like if you had Swift in instead of Gainwell, those plays could have been even bigger. I do like the fact that we actually did run the ball 20 times with Gainwell, even though it was only 5 in the first half. But we did eat off with him in the second half. So I like some of the changes. My biggest thing is there still was forced passes. Even the interception, as you talked about before, it wasn't a good read. There had to have been a better read on that play, even if that was your first read or second read or whatever. There had to be a better read than that on that play. Now, I get it. He failed. And I know we want to. I kind of when you say like, oh, if it wasn't for the bad news Bears play and the turnover would have been a blowout. I feel like Nick Sirianni is sitting there, and I mean, not in a bad way, but I'm just saying that's what he was saying. Like, oh, and I get that, but at the same time, these things are consistently happening to us. This is not a one-time. This is consistently happening to us. The unfortunate turnovers and everything. So it seems like it's become a pattern in my mind. So when I look at that, I say, you know what? We did win the game. I'm not one of those people that want to take the win away and say, oh, we only won because we did win the game. It was the Giants. So I'm not elated that we beat the Giants 33-25. I know we gave up points or whatever, but at the end of the day, they still scored the points, right? He picked the ball off, and then he was able to go all the way down the field and score. Nobody tackled him, right? I'm just saying, I get it, but there's the other side of, okay, but these things shouldn't be happening in week 16.
Cool. I don't disagree with you. Here's my counter to what you just said. All right. They out first down them 28-14. Their third down efficiency was a lot better on both sides of the football. They allowed 4 for 14. They converted 8 of 15. They had 173 more yards than them. They ran the ball for 64 more yards than them, and they had 6 more penalties for 50 more yards. The time of possession was 10 more minutes for Philadelphia. It felt, if I just read you those stats, you would think it was a dominant win. And when I look at the turnovers in previous games, like you look at the turnovers in the Dallas game, right? Fumbles. They were forced fumbles. They were punched out balls. They were diving for a play. They were realistic plays, right? This game, to me, felt like they were unrealistic turnovers. They were fluke turnovers. Whereas when I watched the Dallas game and I watched the turnovers that happened versus Seattle, they looked like mistakes. This game just looked like the tight end slipped or the special teams got caught up in what they were doing, which hasn't happened all year. I just feel like that is
my response to that. There's one thing you didn't talk about. Fumbles lost 1, interceptions thrown 1. So we're still seeing the same pattern of consistently turning the ball over. I know you feel, for this particular game, it's this is that, but this is the only game this is happening, Gene. This is a consistent thing that's following this team every week. We're not playing clean football, right? I don't know if maybe some people's expectations are lower than mine. So it all depends on your expectations.
Oh, they're not winning the Super Bowl. I don't know. If your expectations are to win the Super Bowl, that's not happening.
Well, that's my expectation coming into the season. So I'm judging them based on that. I'm not changing it because they're playing like garbage. So
let's do the grades then. So let's start with the grades. We'll start with defense. So before you grade the defense, and I want you to grade it first, before you grade the defense, I want to remind you 15 points of that 25 points the Giants scored are directly off of turnovers. I can't put that on the defense at all.
I would never put that on the defense.
Okay, so how would you grade the defense? Now, obviously, Reed Blankenship, who's been a good safety for us all year, got burnt toast on that touchdown play.
Yes, he did.
It was terrible. He took an awful route to the ball. How would you grade the defense? I think that was the only real offensive touchdown that the Giants scored the entire game. The one was obviously like a 7-yard run after the fumble. And the other one was a pick 6.
Kind of just let Saquon go, yeah. It felt like we kind of let him go. So here's a couple of things I'm going to say before I give you my grade. We're still not tackling as good as we should. There's situations where we should be really going after guys that we're not. We're not. I don't see a lot of gang tackling in Philadelphia. There was a time where I felt like when a defender was going at a guy, instead of kind of playing fan a little bit on the field and watching, we were going after that guy as well. Now I feel like it's more, oh, you're going to tackle him. Go ahead. So factoring that in, I agree there was really only that I can remember that actually connected was the play to Blankenship. There were a couple more times where there were some plays that just didn't work because a guy maybe ran around.
Yeah, the Waller miss that Waller, that probably could have been a touchdown too. So I get that.
So there's a couple of plays like that. But I will say that using Sean Desai's playbook, Matt Patricia, I feel like did a pretty solid job. I'm actually going to give him a B minus for this game for the offense. I mean, for the defense. Excuse me. Like I said, things to clean up, but I feel like, and I'm putting it in a vacuum and saying I'm not going to preface it by saying, "Oh, it was the Giants." It was a football game against another NFL team. I feel like they deserve a B minus for the performance.
Oh, I hear you. Godfrey, I'm going to ask you a question. I clearly seen the best defensive player on the football field for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was not someone that I expected. I wanted to know if you've seen that. Cool didn't mention this player, but I felt like there was a player that was the best defensive player on the football field for the Eagles, and it wasn't who I'd expected to be.
You think it was Keely Ringo?
No, I don't. I think Keely Ringo played well. Don't get it twisted. I think Keely Ringo played very well, but that's not my answer.
Yeah, I mean, we're grading defense right here, right?
Yes, we are.
I mean, I don't know if this is your answer, and I'm not saying he was a world beater, but I did like what I saw from Shaquille Leonard, 53 snaps. And I did like what I saw from him commanding the defense. I saw him, making the calls out there. He gave them a semblance of order, I believe, being in that position. And I think he was very active. He's not Shaquille Leonard of 4 years ago, but we all knew that. But he's also an upgrade to what we had there at present. And I thought he had a good game. I mean, I was noticing him on the field a lot, and which is a good sign because you're going to need him down the stretch.
I think he was the best defensive player on the football field. And I think it spoke volumes what he said after the game. He said, the Colts wrote me off. I am here to prove that I can still make plays in this league. He spoke as a leader. He looked like he was commanding the field. They finally gave him the helmet, the defensive play caller helmet. And it felt like that Matt Patricia or Sean Desai handed the reins over to Shaquille Leonard. And I felt like that was a great sign. I felt like Shaquille Leonard was the best defensive player on the football field. Now, to your point, Keely Ringo played out of his friggin' mind. He played awesome football.
Crazy what you could do when you get on the field.
You're right. And Keely Ringo, but I will say this, and I will remind everyone this, and I will tell everyone this. Keely Ringo has his matchups, right? There are receivers that Keely Ringo will match up with well, and there are receivers that will absolutely abuse him. Evidence, last year's college football semifinals when Marvin Harrison Jr. absolutely abused that man over the field. Keely Ringo is a project. He is going to be a good cornerback in the NFL, and I think he can step in next year and be a starter instead of Bradbury or Slate because I think it's almost a guarantee they move on from one of them in this offseason.
At least one.
At least one. I agree with you.
It's got to be Bradbury. I mean, I still think Slate's productive to a certain level. I don't think he is as bad as people want to act like he's playing.
Even if they don't move on for Bradbury, you have to move Bradbury to safety.
I will say this. Thank you.
When you lose a half a step at corner, the best position for you to move to is safety.
Agreed. That's what the facts are. It's really that, like you said, I said it before on this show. I've said it on my other show as well. He's not the same speed. He doesn't have it. You're still putting him out there like he has it.
It's not unusual to do that. Rod Woodson was a cornerback at one point, right? He's a Hall of Famer. He wasn't all. He wasn't.
Deion Sanders was a safety when he played with the Ravens.
Yeah, he was safety when he played with the Ravens. And there's someone else that was coming to mind that slipped, but it's not. I believe Malcolm Jenkins came in the league as a quarterback. I'm not mistaken.
I think he was a nickel corner, and he moved to transition to safety.
Yeah, probably. I think it was like after his first 4 years or something like that. And there's plenty of examples of people being successful. So I would think that would be a smart move. I don't know if it's that heavy of a transition where you can't even consider that this year, to be honest. But
well, with Avonte Maddox coming back, I don't know why you would take Keely Ringo off the field. You could easily move. Him there. But the problem is when you're headed into the playoffs, putting a guy in a position he hasn't played before is not an easy task.
Yeah, it's not a wise move, I don't think, at this point. But hey, if he stays next year, that's something to consider, right? Because we got some guys who we've seen when they're getting a chance to play. They may not be the greatest yet, but they're flying around. They're attacking the ball. They have speed. Got to work on technique. Got to work on some of the angles. But that's what playing does for you. Yeah,
I'm giving the defense a B+.
Okay.
And because it would have been,
I'm not against it.
It would have been an A if they didn't give it that play to Slayton. I feel like maybe that was inexperienced speaking.
We ignored the play that Darren Waller like the throw was just off.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Tyrod
we're
made
ignoring that. He's
Did
ignoring
Tyrod
it
make
because
that
it didn't
throw?
score.
Did Tyrod make that throw, or was that a DeVito throw? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was the DeVito throw near the end of the half. Could have been a Tyrod throw, but I'm pretty sure it was the throw that got DeVito benched.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
true
right.
too. I think that helped out the Eagles a little bit too, because people say like, "Oh, Tyrod was in there the whole game." Tyrod's terrible. He doesn't throw the ball on time.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
He's never caught on anywhere. Why is that? I saw him throw balls in the dirt
because he's
glass.
Well,
because
he gets hurt everywhere.
Yeah, I was just about to say one place he gets punched in the lung.
I saw there were balls
ribs
wide
injuries,
open.
other plays, concussions. He has all these things that happen. He's set up to be the guy because they see the skills, but then the injuries happen. So
I see him miss wide open receivers and balls get thrown in the dirt. I saw it multiple times in the game.
I've seen every quarterback in the NFL do that.
Yeah, but he does that. He does it often. That's what I've seen. That's why
I don't think he's trash, bro. I think that's a very bad assessment of him. I'll bet you this: if you guarantee health, Tyrod Taylor is top 20 quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, I don't know if that's really high
standard. Guarantee health.
He's been a placeholder before. He does get hurt a lot, but your best ability is availability.
Got hurt? So, yeah, no. That doesn't mean he's a trash quarterback when he's on the field.
But he's not known for accuracy. He's not. He's definitely not. There's no way.
Lamar Jackson's not known for accuracy. He might win the MVP.
Yeah, but Lamar Jackson's got a lot better of a skill set all over than that guy does.
And that's why Lamar's a top 5 quarterback and Tyrod Taylor's top 20 quarterback.
Yeah, and Lamar, he's not super accurate, but he can throw the ball pretty damn far. That's so if a play breaks down, he has to.
Taylor threw a nice pass on that Darius Slayton touchdown.
He did.
Really nice pass. Very accurate.
But I saw a lot of balls where he missed too. So I mean, the thing is, I think the Eagles, I think the D is playing better. It's not a complete game, but that's why they're going to be plus for me.
All right, I'm giving them a C+. I'm a little bit lower than both of you guys this week. I kind of talked them up, kind of get into this conversation. It's not I think Shaq Leonard played great. I think Keely Ringo played great. I have a huge issue. By the way, I don't want to shit on Jalen Carter because I love Jalen Carter. But like the fact that he's a runaway defensive rookie of the year right now when he has been a ghost for 5 straight weeks is beyond me. He had a good pass hurry this week. I was proud of him for his pass hurry. The Philadelphia Eagles still had 1 sack this week.
Yeah.
A horrid Giants offensive line. 1 sack. They led the league in sacks last year. They're not getting to the quarterback.
Well, they were keeping it was such a vanilla game by the Giants. They were trying to keep the game close on purpose.
Yeah, but it's not it's every week. They're the 27th ranked team in the league at getting sacks.
Yeah, I mean
27th. That's not 4. It's not 11. It's 27. I give them a C+ because their front 4 is not getting home the way I expect. I got to give Jordan Davis credit. He definitely stops the run. He's giving you nothing in the pass game. Fletcher Cox is being overworked and oversnapped for the age that he's at. They thought these young guys would be able to come in and play more snaps. Jalen Carter is a disruptor, but he's not good enough. Dude, stop the Aaron Donald comparisons. Stop the Ed Oliver comparisons. He's not there yet. Could he be there in 3 years? Sure. He could be elite. I think he's very good. I think the first 6 weeks of the season showed you he could be very good. But, like, it's obvious that there's mileage. And Reed Blankenship got burnt. James Bradbury is a half a step off of everything. There was a play that James Bradbury allowed a 20-yard catch to, I think it was Daniel Bellinger.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumped up, and you've seen he missed that ball by a hair.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens when you're a half a step slow.
Last year, he would have intercepted that ball.
I don't even think he intercepted it. I think he would just tipped it, knocked it down, pass deflection. But you got to be able to put your hand on the ball. Half a step behind. Yeah. I give them a C+. They still allowed 10, and I'll count. Listen, we're going to take away the pick 6 and the 7-yard touchdown run for Saquon Barkley. I'm going to add the Darren Waller play that there's nobody even near him. That ball's thrown anywhere where it needs to be thrown. That's a touchdown. So,
right in that donut hole in the middle.
What's that?
I said right in that donut hole in the middle, and I don't have a problem with your C+.
Let's move on to the coach, Nick Sirianni. And before we kind of get into this too much, I kind of want your opinions on, I mean, the guy was in 1, 2, 3 arguments on the sideline with players. Mm-hmm. He told Hassan Reddick to get on the effing field when Hassan Reddick was talking to his position coach. He said, "You get back on the effing field," is what he said to him. He basically belittled Devontae Smith to the point where A.J. Brown had to come over. There's a still image of A.J. Brown literally biting his tongue like this, like because he wanted to say something. How you've called him silly Sirianni multiple times. I'd love to know if you think he's losing grip on this football team.
He is.
I think he's losing control of the team. I think guys like Matt Patricia and I think Brian Johnson, the players love them, so they play for their position coaches. But I feel like Sirianni as a whole is losing his grip on the football team.
I disagree.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think he's losing control of the team. Because you just had examples. Hassan Reddick never argues. But you get in his face and you start with him, he gonna bite at you. Devontae Smith, always the company guy, always toe the line, even when whatever. He's snapping at him. You have Brian Johnson coming out basically saying, look, y'all trying to get at me about this playbook. I think it's trash too, but this is what my head coach is telling me I have to call for him. Right? So you have all these issues.
Right, that's not what he said, but I got you.
That's what he meant. Like he didn't come out and say that.
I get it. You're reading.
If you read between the lines, you know what he was saying. So then you had Sirianni finally had to come out and say, "Yes, my fault. The offensive play calling is on me." You have to understand the two coordinators were changed, absolutely. But if you had the common sense of an 18, 16-year-old, and you had all of these great things that you did last year with the last head coach. I mean, he's now head coach, the last OC. I understand you want to put the Nick Sirianni spin on it, right? Because that's literally what he did. But why not keep things that work and then add to it? Instead, you tear everything down. You go back to things that didn't work before. Now, Unc says he's losing the locker room because they know he's being Howie's puppet the wrong time. That could be true, right?
It's such an overplayed narrative. Such an overplayed narrative.
I mean, my thing is,
it's not though. Doug left because but Doug, come on, dude.
You can say that about every coach, like 90% of the coaches in the NFL. The front office are only going to give him so much control.
Why did Doug leave? Godfrey, why did Doug leave?
They asked Doug to leave.
Why?
If I'm going on that Jeff McClain article, he's insisted on Press Taylor. They did not want Press Taylor anymore. Insisted on it. They said,
okay, so if he's the head coach, why does he not have control of his coaching?
Because they didn't like Press Taylor's relationship. Were we just talking about Press Taylor's relationship being buddy-buddy with Carson Wentz and it was affecting him negatively?
I'm not saying that Doug was right. I'm asking why Doug left. Because he didn't get along with the front office.
So he resigned or they fired him?
No. They fired him. But why did they fire him?
Because he wasn't jiving with what they wanted to do.
With who? You stop saying we. Say the answer.
The front office. That's what they're supposed to do.
Howie Roseman had his hands on what they wanted to do. First of all, I'm gonna give Howie credit for a minute, and then I'm gonna bring him down. Howie Roseman brought in the coordinators that won the Super Bowl with Doug. He brought in Doug, Schwartz, Frank Reich. After they won the Super Bowl, he goes, "You can pick your coordinators." He picked his coordinator, Press Taylor. Things went backwards, just like they did after Steichen and Gannon left. Howie had his hands. Hold on. Howie had his hands in picking Steichen and getting Gannon here.
And Gannon, yeah.
And when they left, he said, "Oh, you made the Super Bowl? Your guys. Pick your guys." He elevated two guys. Well, he moved to Desai from Chicago, and he elevated Brian Johnson. Seemed familiar.
Desai wasn't a first pick. They wanted Vic Fangio.
They did, and the reason
they didn't get it because of Cannon. That wasn't his first pick. We all know that. They have Vic Fangio in the
office. Don't get their first.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the time that we hired Sean Desai, wasn't Brian Flores still available?
He was.
Okay.
He was taking head coach.
So
you know how I know that? Because Jonathan Gannon took the head coaching job at Arizona because Brian Flores turned it down to be the DC of the Minnesota Vikings. So they could have easily talked to Brian Flores. I remember Flores canceled his interview with Arizona. Canceled it. They hired Gannon, and then Flores took the DC job at Minnesota.
So I'm sick of the narrative of Desai was the only guy available. That's hogwash, poppycock, and bullcrap.
That wasn't their first choice.
It wasn't their first choice, but it wasn't their last choice. There were other
my
guys
first
out there.
choice. My first choice is Bill Belichick. Am I getting him? No.
Yeah, but that's not who they were
So
going
everybody's
after.
first
You can't put
choice
in a
is not
variable
always
that's
gonna
not
be on
real.
there.
That's not a real variable. That's not who they were doing. Listen, I'm just saying the days of a coach calling all the shots are 90%. They're pretty much gone. That's not the NFL now. So you want to call other people puppets? Call them puppets. You don't have Bill Belichick's out there. So it's just a played out narrative because it's what we lean on as fans. Like, oh, he's just doing it because he's a puppet. But yet he's losing the locker room and he's getting in people's faces. You can't have it both ways, right? Like
He's losing the locker room.
Is he
not losing the locker room?
I don't think so. I think there's a thing called bad cop, good cop. I've seen coaches do it all the time where it's them versus the coach and their assistants are the good cops and they're getting in their face. They're trying to light a fire under their ass. I don't buy it, man. Like,
All right, let me give you a counter to that then.
11-win team losing the locker room.
Hold on, Yes, I agree.
Yep.
I think they are.
Yep.
So let me give you a counter to that. Why was the 2 times that you've seen him get animated with a player, 2 of the quietest, hardworking guys on the team, Hassan Reddick and Devontae Smith, and not the outspoken AJ Brown? Not like, why is he getting like bullyish with the quiet players and not correcting? You don't see him arguing with Slay. You don't see him fighting with Bradbury. You don't see him getting into it with AJ Brown. You see it getting into it with Hassan Reddick, who's probably our best defensive player. And you see him getting into it with Devontae Smith, who, by the way, would be a number 1 and an elite number 1 on 70% of the teams in the NFL.
I don't see him doing that with those guys because if it's AJ Brown, he's like, oh, AJ's getting into the coach again. Oh, AJ's getting upset. You're gonna listen. You ever see Miracle on Ice? How her Brooks motivated the team. Okay, it's a similar situation. Listen. He's been too
much. Are you comparing Nick Sirianni to Herb Brooks?
I'm preparing the tactic he used.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to tell you is that this guy was too much of a player's coach, and now he's losing the locker room.
I agree with this comment because you don't want no smoke.
Yeah,
I think those guys would 100% tell him. Nick Dola said this team has 2 weeks to get back on track unless they're holding something back because they don't look sharp at all. I agree with you.
Agree.
So what are you giving the head coach? Cool.
I'm going to give him are we doing just the head coach?
Well, head coach / offense coordinator.
Okay.
We're judging the offensive play calling / head coach.
Okay. So if we're doing just the head coach, I'm going to give him a D. But if we're adding in the play calling, whether that be what Jalen Hurts brought, the fact that we saw a lot more running the ball and things like that, I'm going to up it to a C. Okay.
Godfrey, what do you got?
I mean, overall, I'm going to give them a B- overall. I feel like they had a better called game. I think they left some plays out there. I think the players left some plays out there. Jalen staying in balance right there. That wasn't the coach.
Yeah, but they got away with that. They didn't lose 3 points. They got the 3 points still because the Giants fell on the football.
Yeah. But the thing that why I'm at a B- is I'm still not liking the red zone efficiency. I need more touchdowns and less field goals. Okay.
I'm good with that.
And
I give Sirianni a C+. I think Sirianni and the offensive play calling a C+. They ran the ball 20 times with Swift. He looked great. The offense was moving the football at will. They got all their play callers involved. So I give them a C+. You got 11 targets, AJ Brown. Devontae Smith had 4 catches for 80 yards. Goddard had 9 targets, 7 catches for 71 yards. They ran the ball 27 times. 35 if you count Jalen's, and a few of them were tush pushes, so they are designed runs. A couple were scrambles, but I would say they had about 40 designed pass calls and 30 designed run calls, and I'm okay with that. If they're going to run the ball 30 times in a game and they're going to get 70 offensive snaps, I'm all right with that.
There's a play that I didn't like that I saw 2 or 3 times where they were getting Swift 5 yards behind the line.
Oh my God, you're talking about the pitch where he ran around. Dude, he went 11 yards backwards to get 3 yards forward.
That kind of stuff's got to stop, and that's the only thing.
And they're on the bubble screens again. That didn't work.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why we can't get. We're just addicted to bubble.
They're the worst screen team in all football.
Yeah, it's like crack. Like
you have the best pulling center in the history of the NFL, and you have the worst screen team in football.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
How do you even make that happen?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess that's the player's fault too.
That I think that's schematics. I don't understand. You upgraded the running back as far as ability of catching out the backfield. I think it's safe to say Swift is a better catcher of the ball than Miles Sanders.
100%.
You have Jason Kelsey, center that is great at pulling, and for some reason we can't get the screen game going. So
we don't use the screen to Swift a lot. We don't throw the ball to Swift a lot.
I love the run.
They'll do the inside screen, but they'll not do the like.
Right.
I love the breakdown of runs though. 20 to Swift, 6 to Gainwell, 1 to Scott. That's the way I feel like it should be. If you're going to run points. I like that breakdown.
I would have rather Scott get 1 or 2 more because I feel like he's low to the earth. He can get through some holes and make some things happen if he gets a couple opportunities. But if you're taking him away from him to give him to Swift, I can't argue that.
Problem. You know, I agree with you. Cool. They should use Scott more. Where I would like to see him used more is inside the 10-yard line because of how he fits behind the tackles, and he's had success in the red zone before.
But that happened under Shane Steichen. So Sirianni doesn't want us to remember that,
which is crazy to me because it's not a huge adjustment. It's purposeful and not calling that play. And I just, if you're going to up the red zone efficiency, like, I get the tush push is always successful, but I'm talking about when we get in the red zone and we have a mess up and now it becomes a field goal. That game really, the offense should have really scored about, I don't know, I'm going to say about 8 to 12 more points, to be honest.
Well, and then two, you got to remember, like, you're always not going to get down to the 2-yard line, right?
Right.
There are going to be times where the defense is going to hold you. We're going to throw the ball still way more than we probably should in the red zone. So there are going to be times where we're going to have incompletions or times where the rush is coming. He's got to get rid of the ball because I will give Hurts credit. At least in my eyes, he's done a better job than he has in the past of sometimes just getting rid of the ball. And
Dude,
saying,
him in that San Fran game and him in that Dallas game, throwing the ball away was awful. So I'm glad that it's gotten better these past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's a perfect transition into QB1, Godfrey. What would you give QB1's grade for the game? Jalen Hurts. Now, before you give the grade, I just want to put everything in context. 24-38, 67.2 QBR, 85 quarterback rating, 301 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 8 carries for 34 yards, and another touchdown. So he had 335 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He took 1 sack with an 85.5 quarterback rating.
I'm going to give him a B+. B's across the board. So the thing, but really going to go with the B-. There's things that he has done over the season I haven't really seen corrected. I don't like the number of balls that I see get batted down by Jalen Hurts. His footwork, if you look at it, he's not comfortable. You can tell there's a distinct difference from last year.
Last year he knew he was going the ball. As soon as he snapped the ball, he knew he was going. He had confidence in the play calling. He had confidence in the scheme. This year, he doesn't think it's going to be there. It's long developing. So he's looking at the rush to be able to buy time.
Yeah, and so I get that, and that's a comfortability thing. So that's definitely on the coaches too. So not entirely his fault. The going out of balance, I think you could have got more points on the board. I don't think that was a smart play, and he acknowledged it when he got up. He was like, "That's on me." But overall, man, I was happy with his performance overall. He seemed like he was in more command of what was going on. I think some of the other stuff I didn't like is more on the coaches. So,
okay, cool.
I'm going with this. I'm gonna give him a C+. I'm not gonna give him a B. The reason I'm not gonna give him a B is there still are times where I'm looking and I'm saying, bro, you got to be a little bit faster with a decision, right? And I get it that there's times where he's running around, but there's times where he has a solid pocket and he's still taking a second or two too long to make the decision because it looks like that first read, if it's A.J. Brown, he's staying on it too long. If it's A.J. Brown, that read is staying on too long. If A.J. Brown is the second read, he's getting off the first read too fast. He's still, at times, not the whole game anymore, but at times he's still forcing the ball to A.J. Brown. So I need to improve that a little bit. And also some of those plays, man, you have the ability from what everything has been said this week, even before the game, you're giving you more freedom to call plays, audible plays at the line.
Yeah.
So do a little bit more of that, man. I mean, I know you did some of it because I could tell we saw different things. We actually saw, and I wanted to say this, I forgot to say it when we were talking offense. We actually saw motion. Now, granted, as Seth Joyner said, It was the same motion, and you could use it to figure out what we're going to do on the run. But at least there was some incorporated.
The motion that drives me nuts is, and I was pointing this out. It's so funny. I was pointing this out to my mother. It was Christmas Day, and she kept asking. She's like, "Why is the guy going all the way out to the end and then going back next to the quarterback? Like it happens every single time, where like Swift would go out to the edge and then go run back to the quarterback." I'm like, "Well, the quarterback's trying to see if they're in man or zone." And the part that blew me away was, how do you not know what they're in? They were playing so Wink Martindale plays so vanilla press defense. Like you know what he's running. Like, why are we running motion to find out if they're in man or zone? It was mind-boggling, and that happened way too much. And it just lets me know again that Jalen Hurts just doesn't know how to read a defense right now. And Shane Steichen did a great job last year of, hey, listen, you throw here. If this is open, if not open, you throw here. It was option A or option B. If option A and option B aren't there, option C is you take off. Like that's what he had last year.
And shouldn't that be for a young quarterback, right? That should be. And then as he develops,
when you get paid $45 million, you're no longer a young quarterback.
Hey man, you're still a young quarterback by age. Like
I get it.
I get what you're saying with the money, but I mean, if you right now, if your job comes and says, "Hey, Gene, you know you're getting paid $60,000 right now, we're gonna pay you $120,000." You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna take the money, or are you gonna say, "Well, you know, maybe a year or two down the road, guys, because right now I still need to."
I'm not saying he shouldn't take the money. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying you got to give him time. I think if you had employed a similar offenses last year and then gradually weaned them on doing more of what you're expecting him to do now, it would have been a better outcome than just saying, "Hey, we saw what you did well last year. Piss on it. Now go do this from the ground zero." And I think that's where the coaching staff has failed him.
Guardy 3, the answer is no. There's nothing the Eagles can do these last couple of weeks will make me more confident in their Super Bowl chances. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals and the New York Giants. This is what I expect. A toddler could figure this out. Might as well get into the Arizona Cardinals game now. By the way, just to be clear, I gave Jalen Hurts a B- for my grade. I'm not going to get too deep into that because I feel like you guys touched on a lot of the points that I was going to touch on. That's okay. Going to move into this Cardinals game. And when you look at this Cardinals defense, they're 14th in the NFL against the pass and 32nd in the NFL against the run. Their coordinator is Jonathan Gannon. He believes in getting after the quarterback and sacking the quarterback. Last year, when Jordan Davis went out, the Philadelphia Eagles had one of the worst rushing defenses in all of football. That changed overnight when Jonathan Gannon left the door. Now, the Arizona Cardinals have the 32nd best run defense in football. It's his scheme. It's very easy to win this football game if you run the ball. They're 32 out of 32 teams in the league against the run. Their goal is to get after the quarterback. Their goal is to pressure the quarterback. DeAndre Swift needs to have another 20 carries, along with 10 more from Gainwell and 5 more from Scott. If they don't run the ball 30 times in this football game to their running backs, it'll be a failure. This is the Jonathan Gannon revenge game, guys. He's going to have that team fired up. I'm telling you right now, you run the football, you deflate their offense, you slow down their defensive pass rush, and you should be able to win the football game. That's how you win this week. You have to run the ball. And it's not more this week than other weeks. Can't take them to the second half. They are 32nd in the NFL at stopping the run. 3-2. That means there's 32 teams in the league, and 31 of them are better at stopping the run than the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, my constant threat, I need to put on a t-shirt. If you watch the Eagles Elite, you know this. Run the freaking ball. I've been saying it since the offseason.
I'm telling you, you need to get the picture. You need to get the picture of what's the girl's name from Blindside, the woman's name from Blindside. Very famous actress.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. You need to get a picture of her with an Eagles logo. Enough of the trick plays, Nick. Run the dang ball.
But
And not even the trick plays. We say enough of the bubble screens, Nick. Run the dang ball.
Well, Nick's silly. That's why I call him Silly Sirianni, right?
Bro, the fact that Julio Jones had 4 targets this week and 2 were incomplete bubble screens drove me up a wall.
The fact that Zacchaeus is not getting the ball is crazy to me because I feel like Zacchaeus is a guy that I'm not saying he should be out there getting 5-10 targets a game, but there are times where this man is wide open and he's not getting the ball. You know, for me, if I were to humor Brett's question, the answer would be learning how to tackle, right? Running the ball more and finding a way to shore up the defense on the back end. If those 3 things can happen, you never know. But I feel like the only way that the Eagles seriously have a chance is if it just comes together, if it somehow just clicks. Maybe they all get pissed at the coach, they get pissed at people talking about it, they get pissed at fans dumping on them, and they just all get angry and decide we're going to go out there and win and screw whoever doesn't believe it. I mean, I feel like something like that could happen, right? But if we're talking about like what you're going to show me against the Cardinals and the Giants as a whole is going to make me be like, yeah, we can win the Super Bowl now. Yeah, I mean, I have to 100% agree with Gene. Like, come on. It's the Cardinals and the Giants the last 2 games. Like, what are you going to do against them that's going to be so great? Gene just so eloquently put it. Last team in running. If Sirianni has his way, and I'm going to just start calling him Sirianni. If Sirianni has his way, we'll probably go out there and throw the ball 40 times.
Godfrey?
Yeah, I mean, watching a lot of games with the Cardinals, they could be had. I mean, they also can score.
They're 3-12. Of course they can be had.
Yeah, but you can have a 3-12 team that plays good D that doesn't score a lot of points. They can score. Okay. I've seen them beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, so it's not a team that you could take lightly. They can lose to this team. I'm not saying they will, but again, I've seen them have some wins. I've seen them hang in there with tough teams, and then eventually they wear out and they get exposed. They put some points up on the Niners. It wasn't really a close game, but they're not completely dead is my point. And Kyler Murray is a quarterback that kind of concerns me as far as running around on the field, throwing the ball. Seeing how they were having some trouble with running quarterback last week. I saw that was a deficiency in the defense, and Kyler Murray is definitely up to the task as far as using that part of his skills. But you can run on him, like you said. This should be a very heavy run game. There should be no excuse for that. I think play action should be getting set up. Their best pass catchers are really Trey McBride, Michael Wilson. He's inconsistent. He gets hurt. Greg Dortch. You should be able to shut this group down. James Conner is a weapon.
The problem with their offense, Godfrey, and I mean this when I say this. You want to hear something wild? Do you know that Kyler Murray didn't throw one football to the X or the Z receiver versus Chicago? Not one target to the X or the Z. Every pass went to a tight end, a running back, or slot wide receiver.
That is wild.
And where did the Philadelphia Eagles struggle defensively? Mm-hmm. Oh, linebackers and safeties. Mm-hmm. Got it. So I got news for you. Don't think the Cardinals are going to be a pushover.
No, I don't. Yeah, at all.
Because they're going to throw the ball exactly where the Eagles stink. Now, the bright side to me is looks like Zach Cunningham will be back. Shaquille Leonard's playing much better football. So they have some stability at the linebacker position. Avonte Maddox's practice window's open. It looks like he's going to play versus New York next week before the playoffs. That's a bright side to me, right? That's a bright side. They can get better in the middle of the field. Kevin Byard's played better week after week.
Yep.
Sidney Brown's played better week after week. This is the opportunity to show that you've gotten better in the middle of the football field this week.
I like it, sir. I like it.
They need to blow them out. I would love to see them blow them out.
I don't know if this team's capable of blowing a team out.
I think there's so many just mistakes right? That it's hard to
Yeah.
blow teams out when you are constantly just the mistakes that seem to happen every week. You consistently making mistakes. So they're consistent, just consistently making mistakes.
I have a new answer to Brett's question. When Brett asked if there's any way that the Philadelphia Eagles can show me that they can win a Super Bowl in these next 2 weeks. Here's a perfect answer for you. 2 double-digit wins without a turnover. They don't turn the ball over next 2 weeks. They win the game by double digits. Both weeks. Game's not in question. 14-point wins. I could get on board. I can get on the train. I could choo-choo and hop on. They don't win these next 2 games by double digits. They continue to turn the football over. I'm going to repeat what I said at the beginning of the show. This team's not going to win a Super Bowl. You need to get that out of your head. They have the talent to. Don't think they have the scheme. Don't think they have the culture. And guys, I got news for you. I kind of want to give you guys a little insider information. If this team underperforms this year, which means loses in the second round of the playoffs, gets destroyed in the NFC Championship game, both Kelsey brothers are retiring.
Travis Kelce too?
Oh, Travis is retiring. You can write that down. I wish you could find a bookie that would take that bet. Travis is done. I got news for you.
He's done?
Travis is done. 100% done. I'm sure Travis is done. He's going to take the Gronk route. He's talked about all 9 surgeries and that he feels them and life after football. And he's going to get into the Manning cast type things. And he's going to be an entertainer, right?
He's got the perfect woman for it. So I will give you that.
He's done. Now, Jason, I think Jason would be fed up if this team had to go through another, even if it was another minor culture rebuild type. And I think Jason would retire.
I've been thinking Jason was going to leave after this year either way, honestly.
I didn't.
I mean, he's almost retired.
Really good football in him.
He does, but I think he's been about to retire the last 2 seasons. So I think he came back thinking that this would be a good opportunity to try to get another ring and go out on top. Him and Fletcher Cox. So I think those are 2 guys that are going to be gone for me after this year.
I think he loves football too much. If he was going to do that, he would have did that after that season.
You could love football and do this New Heights podcast with your brother and blow that up. That's still football.
I can see Travis doing that. I can see Jason wanting to be in the trenches.
Okay. I mean, if he wanted to be in the trenches so bad, he would have been almost ready to retire the last 2 seasons. You don't keep contemplating retirement unless you're thinking about retirement.
That's not impossible. Don't say it's impossible. Every game doesn't have turnovers. You know how many times the Eagles play a team, they don't turn the ball over one time?
Not many this year.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying how many times the Eagles.
No, in the past, I get it, but I'm just saying not this year. Yeah.
No, the Eagles, I'm saying the Eagles turn over another team. Like the Eagles defense gets the turnovers. They haven't gotten hardly any this year.
Agreed.
They've been terrible.
Agreed. That's a huge difference.
I still would like the mystery of Nolan Smith solved.
Nolan Smith looked great. Again.
They just don't play him a lot. Like for whatever reason.
Great. Nolan Smith looked like one of the best players on the football field for the 15 snaps he was on the field?
Yeah, they just don't give him enough.
What was the snap count this week?
Eagles, I don't know, but it's still not enough.
I got it. I get it in seconds. Here we go. Snap counts this week.
15 seems high.
I think it's about 15, but we'll see. I could be wrong. There's a website that has it for every football.
I just want to know why you got to, he should be on the
17.
Did you look it up already?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 17 snaps.
And Jalen Carter had 21 snaps.
I'm telling you, and we're writing this kid in as defensive rookie of the year. He's like a minus 10,000 favorite.
Well, the thing is, I think
Milton Williams outsnapped him.
I got you. Just follow me here. I think the problem is, and I've been speaking on this even in the offseason, we didn't have the same depth, so we burnt this kid out early because he wasn't used to this long of a season. And I'm not making an excuse. This is what I think.
The rookie wall is real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely real.
And then when you overplay him and you have the rookie wall, you're going to get this kind of game from him, right? And I think that's what we're having. And again, I do blame Ed, and I've been saying this all year on Sean Desai. You have to find a way to get other pieces involved so you don't burn out him and Jordan Davis, because Davis, it is his second year, but I mean, it's the second year. He's a run stopper, right? He's a big guy. He made one play on the sideline, and we thought he was going to die over there almost. So, we
I give him credit for the effort, though. His effort was there.
Love the effort. But I'm just saying, those are the type of things we got to also remember about those young players. You're not wrong, Gene. I don't understand why we have him so high when there has clearly been a huge drop off, and other guys are ascending, because some guys, their team say, hey, we're going to play our young guys, but we're not going to kill them the first half of the season.
Yeah, well, hopefully that Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks not playing most of the season, like a ton of snaps, gives the Philadelphia Eagles a little bit down the stretch in the secondary, because they both looked really good this week. Both of them looked really good. Eli Ricks looked really good. Got to give them credit, man. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I mean, I love the guys. They just got to play it. That's why I've been screaming all year. You get these guys, they have talent. They showed it in college. I'm not saying it's going to be the same talent that moves over to the NFL, because you have to see them play in the NFL. But how do you know if they don't play? Live football is what you need to know if you got guys or if you got to go get more guys. So why play the same guys? You already got old guys in at corner, and you're playing them the whole game. And you got these young guys just sitting over there watching. What are you doing?
Yeah, we need to get sacks, man. And if Nolan Smith has fresh legs, there's
no if. The snaps he plays, he's got to have fresh legs. Yeah, there's no if about it.
I don't know why you don't even get a package where to get him in there on third and long or things like that, where he can get after quarterback. It's supposed to be one of his attributes, right? So I mean, you can't draft someone in the first round and not let him play at that position. I'm not a big believer in that.
Apparently you can, because that's what they've been doing with him all year. Crazy
all year.
I would love to hear a reporter kind of dive into that and ask him that question.
2 questions for you guys before we wrap up the show. This should take the last 7 minutes up. Number 1, do you guys have a counterfeit green this week? I do, which is why I'm asking you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna refrain this week.
Okay. God forget.
My counterfeit green is not really to do with the Eagles. It's Tommy Cutlets. That was a nice story. Wasn't going to come in here and win. He got benched, rightfully so. And that's my counterfeit green. People were talking about, Tommy Cutlets is going to come in here and win. I'm like, stop. I couldn't even listen. I couldn't even have that real conversation. That guy, if you watch football, and there's a lot of people who watch the Eagles and don't watch football, and you only watch the Eagles, you have seen this kid play, and you know that he's not going to be a starting quarterback anywhere. He could be a backup, but he wasn't going to come in here and just deal and beat the Eagles. Even much maligned as their pass defense was, there's a big difference between even Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito, even though Drew Lock's not a superstar.
My counterfeit green this week is going to piss some Eagles fans off, and it's going to make some Eagles fans laugh. My counterfeit green this week is Nick Sirianni. I think he's counterfeit. I don't think he's a good head coach. And I think he's a fraud. I think he's a fraud that hid behind what Shane Steichen did with that team's offense. And by playing with the lead constantly, it got Jonathan Gannon a head coaching job. So my counterfeit green is Nick Sirianni. I think he's a fraud. Last question. Saturday night, Dallas Cowboys are hosting the Detroit Lions. Who are you rooting for?
I'm rooting for the Cowboys.
Definitely go Cowboys this week.
And I asked that question because we're Eagles fans, right? It's almost sacrilegious to root for the Cowboys. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Not if it's for selfish reasons, Gene. Not if it's for selfish reasons.
I'm rooting for the seeding.
Yes.
I just don't want to hear "We Dem Boys" on
a tie would be best.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
How about this? Ready? How about this? This might be a little wrong. I probably shouldn't say this on air, but I'm gonna say it. How about this? Ready? They're down by 3. There's 12 seconds left on the clock. Dak Prescott drops back, gets absolutely destroyed by Aiden Hutchinson, throws a touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb, who gets both his legs taken out in the end zone by none other than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Cowboys win the game, but lose their quarterback and wide receiver for the season.
Dad, G.
Is that wrong? Should I not say that?
That's Rick James. Cold-blooded.
I mean, that would be
something.
That would be pretty
happens,
favorable
bro.
circumstances.
If that happens, bro, I'm hitting you up when I start betting on sports. If that happens, bro, word up.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I just like that.
I'm just saying, if even one of them happens, I'm hitting you up when I get ready to start betting on sports.
I guess I got to root for the Cowboys this week. I didn't think we were all going to be in unison here. I know we're rooting for the seeding, but like I didn't think we were all going to be on the same page.
I mean, I just
do I have to say we them boys? Do I have to do that? Is that like, do I have to clap when they score a touchdown, or I just sit in silence and watch the football game and secretly root for the Cowboys?
Just
every time they do something, you can just be like, "You son of a biscuit eaters!" But good job. That's what you do.
I mean, listen, a lot of weird shit happens in the last 2 weeks of the season. Okay?
Tell me real quick. How much of a counterfeit green is Micah Parsons?
Well, because
apparently he hasn't been getting holding calls when he's being held all the time.
That's not even what I'm talking about. That's another counterfeit green thing. The fact that he tweeted during Monday night's Christmas game mocking Brock Purdy, and then after Brock Purdy beat his team by what, like 25 points earlier in the season, they dropped 42 on him. That's like the definition of counterfeit.
Yeah.
That's a counterfeit blue, right?
Bro.
Yeah, that's not a good look. Especially when your team got waxed.
I just wanted to talk about the fact that he hasn't been that we're getting a lot of people, even his defenders within the Cowboys nation, saying like, "Oh, you go look back. He never gets holding calls and blah blah blah. He's being held." I'm like, hey, I mean,
so is
you watched that Cowboys Dolphins game and you went away from it saying that the refs took this game from us? You're an absolute clown. You know where you lost that football game? First drive of the game. Tony Pollard had a wide open touchdown run, got ragdolled by a defender, got stopped at the half-yard line, and they decided to call a run to the fullback who fumbled the ball 5 yards backwards, and Miami recovered the football. That's where he lost the football game.
Yeah, I'm tired of fans making TikTok reaction videos saying, "This is how the refs screwed us," and picking out 3 or 4 plays. So old. So, Micah Parsons sounds like he's becoming Mahomes on the defensive side as far as bitching about the refs calls. I mean, yeah, I'm just like, there's so many holding calls that could be called. I mean,
Mike hasn't got one in almost 2 months, bro.
Oh, and also, I'm no longer saying Mahomes from now on. It's Patty Mayo for me. So y'all hear me say Patty Mayo. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're embarrassing.
I thought we were talking about Doug Funny, like Patty Mayonnaise.
Yeah, I'm talking about Patty. Yeah, he's Patty Mayo.
Too much crying going on. You can't leave it up to the refs. I mean, yeah, you could find some plays. I saw a Giants reaction video saying how the refs screwed the Giants, and I'm just like, stop. Just can we not? Can we not? And I'm just so tired of that. Like, and it's so fraudulent because it's even more prevalent now as sports betting has become legal. That there's 90% of you mother effers out there reacting that way is because your bet didn't hit. Your 18 parlay didn't hit, and you're pissed about it. So keep donating your $10.
Oh, and just FYI, tonight, 8:30, special episode, Eagles Elite. We're going to be discussing, everything from last week and upcoming games. So, we didn't do it last night. We're doing it tonight. There's a trash game on anyway, so why not come watch us?
It's a perfect setup. We'll be on sideline to sideline from 7:15 to 8:15. After sideline to sideline from 7:15 to 8:15, move over to Eagles Elite from 8:30 instead of watching that garbage that's going to be on the TV. If you want your football fix, We got all football coming up next on Sideline to Sideline. And if you want more Eagles conversation, tune in to Eagles Elite, 8:30 tonight. Any final thoughts, Godfrey, McCain?
Nah, just take it birds deep.
Flag Eagles fly.
Well, I am the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That is taking it deep with the Godfrey. That is